The PlayStation VR2 is just around the corner, and even the skeptics are starting to realise that this device will set the VR world alight. So it makes sense why other companies will use this as a basis for other VR headsets. And here's why. VR still to this day is very niche, and this is even more so in the gaming industry. The PlayStation VR2 will change this, but another important factor that the PlayStation VR2 will provide to consumers and developers alike is that it's showing us that a true high-end VR experience can be achieved without a high-end PC. Of course, the PlayStation 5 is an expense and acts as a gaming PC, but irrespective of this, it is now much easier for a person new to VR to now jump into the VR world without having to decide what gaming VR compatible PC they need. You simply plug in and play, so the perception of this complicated setup that is needed to play this high-end VR games is gone. Sony has been trying to link their VR devices to the PlayStation consoles for a long time now, so this is proof that it is possible. This is really interesting, and it provides a great foundation for other companies to look at this and be like, one second, we can do that as well. It can spark life into other companies to follow a similar route, which is only good for VR in general. Like Xbox, where you at? But once again, the PSVR2 is setting this precedent. And let's not forget the huge benefit of having a PlayStation 5 is the fact that, you know, you get a PlayStation 5, which is a great console. So for a consumer, this is giving you two benefits. High-end VR experience plus a PlayStation 5. The implementation and use of haptic feedback on VR devices is nothing new, with the Quest Pro controllers having this, and there are accessories for the Quest 2, both cheap and expensive, that really do bring up the haptic feedback if you wanted to. So the PlayStation VR2 Sense controllers that come with haptic feedback in both controllers and headset, which is already incredible. But when we're talking about the PlayStation VR2 being a benchmark for future VR devices, this inclusion is taken to a new level in terms of how these haptic feedbacks are used. When you are in these immersive worlds, sure, the world around you can be seen beautifully with the help of the 4K resolution, which by the way is 2K resolution per eye. Just a quick disclaimer. But what about actually interacting with the environment? I remember when I first played Quest 2 and tried the first step, I was mind blown. Picking up things in your hand, cocking the gun, imagine feeling this. Well, this is what the PlayStation VR2 is trying to recreate. Whether it is your hands and fingers in the water, you will feel the haptics, or when you reach out to an object and push out and the haptics go off, showing resistance, as if there was an actual object in front of you. To give you a really good example of this, Brad Lynch, who went hands-on with the PlayStation VR2, said in his hands-on video that when playing Horizon, a beam shot past his head and a headset rumbled in that direction. Like no other console, the PlayStation VR2 is trying to revolutionize haptic feedbacks and immerse you deeper and deeper in these worlds. And this will only get better with time as the haptic feedbacks are used more and more, and people and developers are able to create more situations to make this even more immersive. A consumer VR headset with eye tracking is insane. A consumer VR headset with eye tracking that is cost effective is insane and incredible. Trying to bring eye tracking to VR has been on the agenda for years now, and the ones which do have this were either expensive or require a gaming PC or both, or just straight up don't do it well. Look at the Meta Quest 3 for example. They were said to be bringing eye tracking to its next VR headset, but have apparently opted to go into a more mixed reality area because including eye tracking was too expensive and would raise the price of the Quest. Well, guess what? Sony have showed that VR and tech world that it is possible, and it could be great. It is once again being the benchmark for this. We have seen hints of this already as you pick weapons to helping out with the graphical power for Foveated rendering. And looking at early previews, it seems that it's more than just a gimmick and will have a real effect on gaming experiences in the future. The PlayStation VR2 launch lineup is one of the biggest VR launch lineups in history. Of course, there's more games on the Quest right now, but at this current stage, the PlayStation VR2 games are more about quality over quantity, and I'm okay with that. The true high-end VR experience and advanced optics will be enough to keep VR users satisfied as developers continue to make new PlayStation VR2 games, which by the way, seems like a lot of devs will be involved with it. But there was another aspect to this. The Quest was great, however, it did lack sorely in AAA blockbuster titles. Oh yeah, and I'm talking about God of War equivalent or Uncharted. This is where Sony are stepping in. They are already known for their AAA games from the PlayStation 1 to the 2, 3, 4 and 5 consoles, and this potential is being translated over to the PlayStation VR2. We have Gran Turismo 7, Horizon built from the ground up for VR capabilities, and of course Resident Evil 8, and we know there's more to come. This idea of bringing these big titles to VR is incredibly attractive to consumers and dev, as the tech of the PlayStation VR2 can offer this. It is both the benchmark and the guide to devs and consumers on what we need and what needs to be created. Also, with the support of the PlayStation VR2 community, online games such as Pavlov or co-op games like Demio are giving VR users the basis for a rich online competitive experience. I mean, Pavlov has already been confirmed that when it comes to the PlayStation VR2 it will be improved, and Sierra Squad has been built and revamped with the new PSVR2 tech in mind. This is a new era of gaming, and the PlayStation VR2 has raised the bar and gave us a benchmark on what good looks like. Who's excited? As we can see, the PlayStation VR2 has a lot to offer, and the early previews are only confirming this. And look, I know there's been a lot of negativity floating around, but this is all fake news, as bad news travels fast, and this is evident not just in VR but in all areas of life. But the reality and the truth is the PlayStation VR2 is an incredible VR device. It is now the standard. You can't argue with that. Even skeptics are getting to understand this now. IGN were blown away by their experience with GT7, and they're typically quite negative towards VR. Sony are just letting the tech do the talking, and the haters will always be there, irrespective. But now, these haters do not have as much clout. And this isn't about me sitting here trying to promote VR console wars. I don't care for that. I just want VR to evolve quicker and better. And from what I can see, the PlayStation VR2 seems to be best leading that charge. Hopefully other companies will learn from this the same way I'm sure Sony learned from Meta. The PlayStation VR2 will light up a new era of gaming, and other companies will have to follow suit. It is possible to have haptic feedback in the controllers and headset, combined 4K resolution, AAA games, eye tracking, incredible graphics. You get the drift. Thank you guys for watching today, and hey, if you are liking this video, a subscribe would really mean a lot. It just shows me as a content creator that what I'm doing is actually relevant to you as an audience watching right now. So that means I can keep making relevant content for you guys. With that being said, the PlayStation VR2 is here very soon, and I better get it on launch day. Could get trolled though. Anyway, I'll see all of you next week.